Look, it can tell that I'm talking, so
Oh, wow.
we're on a good start here. All right.
Fancy.
So I know anyone who has listened to Drive Check, a Card Fight Vanguard podcast, knows that I start with a date stamp at the beginning. I don't know what today is, so.
It's what? Wait.
So do I have to do it?
I think you have to at this point.
It's Saturday, August 4th, and this is Drive Check, a Card Fight Vanguard podcast. Not going to ask how many people are listeners because we've got so few people in the room. That's okay. But what are we? We're a podcast that talks about Card Fight Vanguard and pretty much only Card Fight Vanguard. We come out weekly on Saturdays unless Cole messes up and releases the episode on Sundays.
All right. Okay.
Specifically only in the weeks when I've told my mom that we absolutely always come out on Saturdays. Started in spring of 2016. I can't remember whose idea it was. May have been Cole's or Jack's.
No, I think it was you.
Okay.
And then Jack was like, "I'm down," and I'm like, "Sure, why not?"
So I also do a Pokemon podcast called It's Super Effective. So we were all just talking about that and decided to do a Vanguard podcast. Things that we typically cover, what we've been playing, what the climate in the shops are like, any of the latest news, the card sets that have come out recently, and any topics relevant to the Vanguard community. So if there's a rules change to the standard fight rules or anything like that, we'll usually talk about that. Then we have everybody's favorite errata, because we make lots and lots of mistakes, so we always have something to correct in the following week. Golden Hype Week, which we are actually not in, because I was actually going to just jump to Golden Hype Week.
Woo! It's already out.
So Golden Hype Week is the week between a sneak peek and the actual set release when prices for cards are insanely high. And I have a contest for the other hosts to see who can guess which are the most expensive cards in the set during that one particular week.
We don't like it.
You don't like it. I love it. And it's all about me, Cole. So our goal is more about casual and fun play for Vanguard, not being competitive strategies or anything like that. We're not going to tell you what the meta decks are. Well, we'll talk about the meta decks, but we are terrible Vanguard players.
We're the worst.
So that's
absolutely the worst.
But we still show up every week. Who are we? So I'm Will Anderson. If you are a listener and you don't recognize my voice, I live in DC. I work at Georgetown University. I play Oracle Think Tank, Link Joker, Grand Blue, Royal Paladin, Shadow Paladins, and Hawken Rambu sometimes. For those of you who have never played Vanguard, those actually are words that have meaning.
Yeah.
Token Rambu is awesome. I wish they would have come out with the set that came out in Japan and didn't come out in the States.
Well, hey, maybe that's part of plan number 24.
Cole, who are you?
I am Cole McCune. I'm a graphic designer. Let me read the screen. I play Grand Blue. No, I have no idea who I am. So this is interesting to me. I play Grand Blue. It's my all-time favorite. They're undead pirates, which are great. And I have Dimension Police, Genesis, and Dark Irregulars. So those are the 4 clans that I dabble in.
So we have other host, Jack Lieb, who lives in California. He's a college student and couldn't afford to come out here, even though he said 50 times that he said he was going to come out here.
3rd year in a row.
Stood us up, 3rd year in a row. Micah Jacobson, who lives in Indiana, claims to be our special guest. He refused to be a co-host, but he also contributes once in a while, and he literally plays every clan because he proxies everything.
Yeah.
And he doesn't buy anything.
Yep.
So I really like our font size here.
I tried to boost it.
So what is Cardfight Vanguard for anybody who's never played it, seen it, touched it? It is a collectible card game. Congratulations. Those are my favorites. It is about 23 different clans. So when we say things like Oracle Think Tank, Grand Blue, Royal Paladin, those are all clans. So there's 23 clans that battle on the planet Cray. Why are they battling? I don't know. But that's what they do. Although at one point it was to decide. It was just like they needed to figure out to choose one path A or path B, and it was like up to a battle. So each clan has its own theme. So as Cole said, Grand Blue are the undead pirates.
Undead pirates, yep.
There's Gundams, which I'm not young enough to know what a Gundam is, but I imagine it's a dude in a robot suit.
What?
What? I only started watching anime like 5 years ago. Knights and
Never heard of
Wizards.
anything else.
Dragons, everybody likes those, and weird semi-religious liquid metal space dragons, which that's my deal. That's my favorite, of course. That's the Messiahs, has to be. So play styles, each clan has its own play style, so different ways of using the various resources that you have access to in the game. There's different types of control for control decks and different ways of doing combos. So that's just, you pick your clan based on what style of play you want to go with,
or what art looks prettier to you.
Or if you're art focused, then you go for the art.
Yep.
And the most funniest thing about Vanguard is games should take about 15 minutes. I think with the current things that are going on, it's getting closer to that. But there's some other things where I've actually heard of games taking an hour and a half. So.
I mean, especially when the two of the grindier, I guess the one grindier deck if it's a mirror match.
Mirror match, yeah.
That's the worst.
All right, so why are we here to talk about? What we noticed in our past two Gen Cons was there wasn't a lot of folks talking about Vanguard, and we wanted to do kind of an annual wrap-up and figured that this would be a good event to do a wrap-up looking back at the past year of what's happened in Vanguard. It's been an actual big year for Cardfight Vanguard. And just hopefully we'll do this year after year and see how things change as time goes on. So what was going on in fall of 2017? Vanguard was very unbalanced, and there were only 2 or 3 playable clans every month. So they had monthly releases, and with each release, 1 or 2 clans would become meta, and the other 20, you just wasted all your money. Just you put it back in the closet. A lot of power creep. So you had to get really big numbers and do really big guarding in order to actually just enjoy the game. And the year ended with signs of the very end of Vanguard, and I wish I was being hyperbolic.
No, yeah, it was
they were making signs that they were going to stop producing the game altogether.
Yeah.
At the end of 2017. All right, I don't know why I repeated Unbalanced and Power Grabbed, and why you didn't catch it. Cole, you were supposed to edit for me.
I thought I did.
Well, you missed that one. All right, so.
Oh, yeah, the power creep was insane.
What were the booster sets that came out in fall of 2017? So for those of you that don't play Vanguard, this will spark no memories in you whatsoever, but we'll just talk about things in vague ways that will intrigue you. What was it? September 1st, Demonic Advent was a booster set. Evil Eye Sovereign was a trial deck. And that introduced the Dominate mechanic, which so many people went insanely mad about. So what Dominate means is that your opponent picks one of your cards and then uses it to attack you, yourself.
Outside of the normal combat phase, which was the big part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people were just very upset that this one clan got it. They didn't know there's a lot of rules changes to figure out how to handle it.
It wasn't just they would control and attack. They also would get the effects. If they could use the effects on the cards, they were able to play those as well. So if you had a card that would let you draw extra cards or something, pay a cost, they could use that too. So it was a little rude, let's say.
So then the next month after that, Dragon King's Awakening. Vanguard sets have the best names. So there was a card called Luard, which was a wizard guy who wanted to become a dragon, and he was finally successful in October.
Yeah, he came out earlier, but that was before August, so we didn't include it. But yeah, this is like his second power up, I guess, technically.
Yeah, second power boost, and Bushiroad, the company that makes Vanguard, we're putting all their chips behind Luard, and it was just like if you weren't playing Luard, you were having a really hard time. Except that for 1 month, Oracle Think Tank, which is my favorite clan, became playable because they got a mechanic that had guard restricting in it, so that people couldn't, attack, and you might be able to.
Really good guard restrict.
Yes, it was for your entire turn, so
yeah,
that was worthwhile. The card's name was Ichikishima, so this is relevant because of in the current format, that card still exists, and it's paired with another card that has guard restrict, so you are able to create a scenario where your opponent cannot guard your attack at all, and they just have to take damage from you, which is really fair. They skipped November.
Yeah, they had to take a break after all that.
All that drama. And then the best set of all time in Vanguard came out, Rondo of Chaos and Salvation, which was only Link Joker cards. And Link Joker is the clan that I'm pretty much most known for. Link Joker is a high control clan. You basically flip your opponent's cards upside down. They can't use them, they can't move them, they can't do anything with them for their entire turn.
They don't exist.
And so I was able to turn people's fields into useless garbage as long as I was successful in my stuff. So I had a month where I could play really well.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't just play like one version of the Link Joker deck.
I play all versions of the Link Joker decks,
and they were all good.
Yes, and there was a set out there, set of Link Jokers called Deleters, which they do a weird thing where they remove the power from your opponent's cards, and that became really, really good. And the funny story about that is I had spent $125 to buy every Deleter card because I thought that they were fun, just fun, interesting cards. The day before they announced that this set was going out, and the value of that $125 went to about $500 overnight. But I don't sell my cards, so I still have them all. Then our last set in 2017, Ultimate Stride. And this is where they introduced the Zeroth Dragons.
Talk about power creep.
Cole, can you explain Zeroth Dragons? Because I
can't. Oh my god. Okay, so we're pulling on information from like 6 months?
8 months
8 months ago? Jeez. Okay, so Zeroth Dragon is a type of stride. It's an ultimate stride. And a stride
They don't know what a stride is.
A stride is a once per turn. Basically, you call a unit once per turn and you add power to your Vanguard. It becomes really strong and has stronger effects.
And one of the problems of Vanguard in 2017 was you built your deck, you actually had two decks. You had your main deck and your stride deck. And pretty much every card that was playable in your stride deck was about $25 to $50, and you needed 16 of those. So
the really good ones.
For a game that was supposed to be casual, fun, and inexpensive, I once had a deck that cost me about $900.
I did not. Nope, not worth it. But so Ultimate Strides, it wasn't quite the stride mechanic. It was a step above, so you had to pay an extra cost essentially. You had to discard a specific card in order to use it. And not only did it give extra power, you also I think you used it once, and after that you had to get rid of your entire second deck. You couldn't use that for the rest of the game. But they also had really strong effects where basically it was like your finisher. If you didn't win on your ultimate stride turn, you pretty much lost. It just depends on what deck you were playing. But and they only introduced two in ultimate stride. It was Drachma for all the red clans, the dragon.
The Fire Nation. I don't know. Fire Nation.
Dragon Empire. Yeah.
Dragon Empire.
Yeah, and then Megiddo for Megalanica. There you go.
Megalanica. Yes, so the water people.
The water people.
And the strange thing about Zeroth Dragons is instead of being one card per clan, it's one card per nation. All the 23 clans are divided in 6 nations, so there's 6 Zeroth Dragons. That's real math that you needed to know.
Yeah.
But this was really a critical point for Vanguard because these cards were about $100, $75 to $100 each.
$75 to $100.
Luckily, you only needed one for your deck, unless you were playing like the Mermaid Ladies and the Navy guys,
Aquaforce,
and the Undead Pirates,
Grand Blue,
and you might want 3 of them.
If you didn't want to share cards in between.
decks. I only bought one of each that I needed.
They're still expensive. They're
All
cheaper,
right.
but expensive.
What was happening in the winter of 2018? So Vanguard was dying out. As I said, the G-Zone cards were too expensive for casual play. It was just really, we were not getting new players in to play Vanguard because that first buy-in was way too high.
And you pretty much had to have a Xerath Dragon in your deck to be somewhat competitive compared to other people as well.
Yes, and the fact that you could only play a few clans, 3 or 4, if those weren't clans that had an appeal for you, and you weren't one of those people that was just, I'm playing for the meta, there was no appeal in the game.
It wasn't fun.
For people to be playing. And then they announced Neon Gizeh, the dragon deity of destruction, Neon Gizeh, and it's a double-sided card, and it might as well have been the flames of the apocalypse.
The death sentence, really.
But people freaked out so hard that they had a double-sided card, and they were arguing if this was the future of Vanguard, what were we going to do? Would people have to sleeve and unsleeve their cards in the middle of a tournament? It was going to take half an hour.
They were so panicked about the whole unsleeving thing.
Yes.
It was great.
But Gizeh is literally the emissary of Oblivion, Void,
Dragon Destruction. I can't read the foiling.
Well, just what he represents.
Oh yeah, the destruction of the world, basically.
Yes, the destruction of everything, and they're like, oh, here's our main card now, and there's like, people are supposed to not assume that something really bad is happening. But they still came out with more boosters, so Awakening Zoo, so this was for all the grassy people.
Well,
yeah.
How did Gizeh break the game?
Well, first off, you could use him as a starter, and he went to your G-Zone. Mm-hmm. And then in 2 turns, you lost. Your opponent lost, basically.
Because it normally with strides at the end of the turn, they return back to the G-Zone to actually the second deck. Gizeh did not. He stayed there, and the normal power level at that time was 11,000. Gizeh was 30,000, I think.
Yeah, he's real.
Yeah, 30,000, and he stayed that way. So that's a 19 power drop or increase in order to beat it, and it was really hard for some clans to get to. And then the fact that he called other Xerath Dragons in your deck, so you not only had to have this expensive card, you had to have all
of the
six.
Xerath. Well, no,
five.
you needed five of the Xerath Dragons, so $500 cards.
Yeah, and you called them to your field, and basically at the end of your turn, your opponent takes damage for each Xerath Dragon that you have in your field.
No, it's at the start of the next turn.
Next turn, right. So
They
you
take
just
a
pass your
damage.
turn, and that's it. And the Xerath Dragons can't be attacked or affected by anything, so they're just these really strong things that don't do anything for you until the next turn, and basically you win.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't played Vanguard, one of the lose conditions is you get 6 damage, and this card basically made it so that at the start of your turn, you took 5 damage. And normally to play, you need at least 1 damage as a resource, so that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. It was not a fun time.
So, but I mean, people were still playing. The set's coming out in January. We had Awakening Zoo, so that was the bug people, the flower people, the intelligent animals.
Yeah. Science and animals mixed
and
together.
they came out with a card called Zoa, which I believe has an immediate lose condition.
Yeah, that's a Xerath Dragon as well for that one, that nation specifically. So it gives power to 1 card, like basically infinite power, and if that card does 1 damage to you or hits at all, your opponent loses the game.
Immediate loss.
Immediate loss.
Yeah, so that's why these Xerath Dragons were really fair. But, I mean, there's ways around that one,
Yeah,
at least.
there's ways around it.
And then there's the bug people, or the bug gangsters, Mega Colony.
Yeah, they're pretty
Got
cool.
2 very strong cards. And what's funny is that they were just terrible for about 7 years. And then,
How long has it been out?
yeah,
7 years?
yeah. Because, Mega Colony was in the first sets.
This is before my time.
Yes.
So, okay, that's news. to me.
Mega Colony tried to be a control deck, but then they came out with a better control deck, but then this made them even better. So congrats, they got a month to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Galaxy Stargate came out, which gave more support to Link Joker. and
Yeah,
Dimension Police.
because they needed it.
Because we needed it.
Because you needed it.
And then that introduced the Zeroth Dragon Stark, which is just a card that attacks 3 times in a row.
Yep.
Which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but every time he can potentially do more damage and get more power.
Yeah.
So that's one of my faves because he works with my Link Jokers.
He works really well with Dimension Police, specifically Grand Gallop as well.
Oh, and didn't we say something about Victor?
Victor became big because it was.
So who is Victor?
Victor he's like one of the Gundam Nova Grapplers that will.
So what's
things.
a Nova Grappler?
Nova Grappler is supposed to be in the origin, or when it originated, they were supposed to be like wrestlers or entertainers.
Professional wrestlers.
Yeah, or entertainers generally, and now they're kind of like big giant robots.
Big giant robot professional wrestlers.
Professional,
yes.
yeah, professional fighters, wrestlers, whatever. And so Victor is specialized in a lot of multi-attacks. Because normally you'd only get 3 attacks in per turn. Victor had ways of using units that already attacked again and again and again. And it became one of the best decks for 2 months.
Probably a month and a half.
Yeah. Yep, it was
great.
great.
We're looking at February, and there was a big announcement in March, so that's when things happen. Anyways, Divine Dragon Apocrypha, they make these so hard to say out loud. Came out March 9th, so the last 2 Zeroth Dragons came out, Ultima and Dust had to be errataed within 3 days.
3 days of being revealed.
So one of its conditions was that it just gave 1 damage.
Dealt 1 damage.
No matter what. So if your opponent was at 5 damage and then
you stride into it, pay the cost, deal the damage. That's it. You don't even have to attack.
You didn't have to attack. You didn't have to do anything, and everybody freaked out. So they said, only if you have 4 damage can you do that additional damage.
Yeah. So you get them from 4 to 5, and then so you still have to attack.
And that's also when the Gizeh card came out, and it was really the last booster set of the G era of Vanguard. So
I forgot about Ultima.
I mean, Ultima, nobody did. I mean, Ultima's cool.
It's scary.
But you can work around Ultima.
Ultima gives trigger effects to all of the units, because normally you'd only pick
They
one.
don't even know what a trigger is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when you attack, when your Vanguard attacks, you flip the top card of your deck looking for a special symbol on one of the cards. If you hit that symbol, the trigger effects, depending on what trigger it was, different effects would happen. So Ultima makes it so that when you check, all of the effects go to all of your cards. So it would give power, so it would make them more powerful, and then it would also
deal extra damage.
Stand everybody so they can attack
stand
again.
Up if they had already attacked.
Yeah.
No heals though.
Or draws. So, but basically you're budgeting for a certain amount of attacks, and then if someone gets a random trigger, it throws your entire game off, and you have no more guard left, and you lose basically.
And the concept of the Zeroth Dragons was actually to take pieces of all of the clans from the nations that they were in, and then condense it into 1 card. So the nice thing about United Sanctuary, which is what Ultima was representing, is it has call cards from your deck to your field, call extra cards, more than you should be able to. It has look at the top card of your deck and decide if you want to keep it on the top or put it on the bottom, or basically stack your deck however you wish.
Yeah.
And then it had Angel Feather, but that didn't do much with Angel Feather. Angel Feather allows you to put things into your damage and take things out of your damage. So you use your damage as a resource that way.
Ultima didn't do that, but Gizeh had a lot to do with.
Yeah. But Ultima allowed you to basically stack your deck, put triggers on top, and then those triggers applied to everybody you had on your field.
Yep.
Which is real fair. So
they're all real fair.
Gizeh came out. That's when everybody got, this was the end of Vanguard. It was the last booster set of the G era. There was 1 extra booster set called Divas Festa. Now there is 1 clan in Vanguard called Bermuda Triangle. It is all mermaid idol singers. Mm-hmm. I've been playing Vanguard for a long time. It still creeps me out.
Yeah.
This set only comes out once a year. They actually released it early so that they could close out the G era, so that the scantily clad mermaid singers could be released. It's still actually a really powerful deck, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it abuses the ability to bounce cards back to your hand and then like multiple attacks.
So there's lots of bouncing with the mermaid idol singers, if you think about it. And they also did an alternate printing of the sea dragon dude, Megiddo,
the
as
dragon.
a mermaid girl with a gem in her belly button.
Yeah. Honestly, the art looks a lot better than regular Megiddo, but in my opinion. So it's also a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, because it's in high demand and only one set.
Yep.
All right, spring 2018, they announced a reboot of Cardfight Vanguard on March 14th of 2018. Basically said, the way we've been doing the game has run into the ground. We're going to completely restart the game with similar but different. And of course, that's when Cole and I stayed up until 1 o'clock in the morning and recorded an episode called Gize 1.
It was 2 o'clock before we went to bed.
Yes. Gize being the deity of destruction, he truly ended Vanguard at that point in time. So this was the first time Vanguard would ever have multiple official formats. So always there had been no rotations, no separate formats. Every card, unless it was banned or restricted, was in play, and the banned and restricted list was real small.
Real small.
So it was a lot of history to keep up with at that time. So now we have standard format, which is the basic game.
Yeah, only the new stuff.
So only stuff that's come out since June is playable in the standard format. There's no more G-Zone, so no more of that extra deck that costs $25 to $50 per card. And it introduces imaginary gifts, which, despite their name, are a real thing.
Yeah.
And we've actually got imaginary gifts for you, right? You can see them with your eyes. But the concept is the imaginary gifts really have no value, right? So it is a second deck, but they have no value. They're not going to cost. There are special ones with special art that cost more, but you don't need those.
No.
And they're just a way that your Vanguard can get power-ups, or your clan can have specific things happen when you play specific cards, but it certainly has reduced the cost of Vanguard quite a bit.
Some might say half.
Half or more? I'd say even more.
At the tail end, I think, because so many people were buying into those sets to get the Dragon of Destruction, Gize, and all the Zeroth Dragons, that it was pretty cheap to build stuff. However, to build non-super good stuff, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put it that way.
Grand Blue. So we also currently have the G format, so that is all the old cards and none of the new cards, and that is allowed to go, I don't know by whom, because it's like November 1st is going to come around, and they're not going to take the cards out of your hands.
Yeah.
October 31st is the official end of the G format. I just think that they won't be doing any more tournament support for G format at that point in time.
Yep.
So only cards through Divas Festa for that one, and then the premium format, which
Premium or premium standard?
yeah, technically it's premium standard.
It
I was
is.
right the whole time.
You were. It was a hot point of contention.
Yes. So premium uses all cards from all time except things that are banned or restricted. And it combines G-Zone and imaginary gifts and a lot of other different changes to mechanics. So
It's a hot mess.
real difficult to play.
Yeah.
So the V era started with the Aichi Sendo and Toshiki Kai trial decks on June 8th of this year, so only a couple months ago. And they've started naming the trial decks after the characters from the anime that play those particular clans. So there's an anime that goes along with Cardfight Vanguard, because why wouldn't there be?
Right.
Which they've also rebooted that completely.
And it's good now.
It's a much better story.
It's
It really
watchable.
is. First booster set, Unite Team Q4.
Yeah. Yep. We looked it up.
Came out on June 22nd. So Q4 stands for Quadrifolio. Why wouldn't it? But that's the main team of protagonists.
Yeah, the main four.
Can you name them?
There's that one guy with the blue hair. It's Aichi, Sendo, Toshiki Kai, Kamui Katsuragi, and Misaki Tokoro. Wow.
Wow, good job.
Wow.
It's not that hard. They've been the same 4 characters for the past 7 years.
But the last names, though, the
No,
family
that's
names.
true,
I got
that's
the family
true.
names.
What's Miwa's last name?
It begins with the T.
I don't even know it. He's my favorite character. So Unite QT and Unite Team Q4. It's so hard to say.
The cuties.
It's the reboot of the Oracle Think Tank Best Clan and Nova Grapplers,
Worst
and it created additional cards for Royal Paladins and Kagero.
Mm-hmm.
So Royal Paladins are the Knights of the Round Table, and
Yeah.
they're dogs.
And-
And there's a couple of dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Flogel,
Sparkle.
Pongle,
Wingle.
Margle. No, Margle's not in the.
Yeah, it's the
okay.
draw trigger.
Ugh.
And then there's Funologol, the grade 2.
Funigal.
Funigal.
All the dogs end with. I don't know where that
Gal.
comes from. Kagero are the dragon people,
The fire dragon people.
except for the one gill man.
Well, I mean, he's got fire around him.
Yeah, but he's a gill man.
I mean, there are humans in Kagero too, so.
Yes, that's
They
true.
also have 3 water dragons, one of them being Dragon Dwarf.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's true.
yeah, yeah.
Lots of dragons going on. with
Isn't
Kagero.
Gaia's in water? Anyway, dragons.
So-
Mostly fire.
That means, as well, up until yesterday, there were 4 clans to play total in the new format. So, not too bad and not too expensive, except for people like me who buy cases on our own and don't do case splits.
Just give them. Oh.
And just yesterday, the second booster set came out called Destructive Roar, and it added 3 more clans, Tachikaze, which are
Oh, they're big dinos that eat each other.
with
Robot
guns.
dinos with
dinosaurs with guns.
that eat each other.
And there's some like savage dudes in there too.
Yeah, well, they got a maintenance on the dinos, right?
Yeah, of course. Spike Brothers, who are
Football players.
demonic football
Demonic
players.
football players. And cheerleaders.
Of course, you couldn't have football players without. Wait, they've got a robot guy too. Their starter.
Mecha coach. Oh, sorry, they have coaches too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mega Colony, the bug gangsters.
gangsters.
Insect gangsters. So there's 7 clans to choose from right now. If you want to play current Vanguard. So what has changed? They have taken out stand triggers. Still not sure why. So stand
I'll tell
triggers.
you why. Because the world champion used them.
He
and
won.
He won. That's
He's-
why.
yeah.
That's cuz.
That's our buddy Daniel. So for those who don't play, stand triggers allowed you to, if you saw one while you were doing your final attack, you restood somebody you had already, like untap, right? You could untap somebody you had already used, so you could use it again and give it more power if you wanted to do. They have changed the power of the triggers from 5,000 to 10,000. And for somebody who's been doing calculations based on 5,000 for as long as I have lost matches because I can't figure out
Yep.
the power levels.
Oh, that makes premium really messy too, because if you want to run old triggers that have the good effects, because all the triggers right now are all vanillas except for some draw triggers, so they don't have any effects, but they have stronger power and stronger guard value, basically. So if you mix those, you have some triggers, specific triggers that give you plus 5,000, others that give you plus 10,000, and then they have different guard values as well, and it's hard to keep track
It's
of.
real confusing. But you've got to choose whether you want to use Mick the Ghosty and his family.
Yeah, I'm using him
Yeah, of course you are.
every time.
So what we've seen, the good things about the reboot, old players who left during the Legion era, we don't need to go into what the Legion
No.
era was, but
It was a while ago.
It was a big loss of players because they got upset that you put 2 cards on the Vanguard circle as opposed to 1. That was just horrible. But they're coming back because the game now plays much like similar to original Vanguard and the way that it started out. New players who had found that the old version was too expensive. I think we're seeing more
Yeah.
players in shops who are new to the game and want to try it out. I've seen it at my locals.
Same.
Cards cost less on the secondary market,
A lot
except
less.
for that CEO Amaterasu Origin Rare that
Well,
I really want, but
Fine, go pay $50 to get it.
I don't want to. And there are simpler mechanics that make the game easier to learn. So there's not a lot of super complexity that you have to memorize about all. And there's also only 7 clans, so you
Only
only
7
really have to
clans.
learn 7 clan mechanics at this
Yep.
point in time. Cons. Division between players that only want to play premium or standard. This has been high drama. There are people who do not want to play standard and have stopped coming to shop tournaments that only do. I mean, they only do standard, and they, like I've seen in DC, like new shops have started promoting Vanguard just because people only want to play premium and they've moved over to those other shops.
Yep.
So that's divided things up a lot. People are leaving because they think that their decks have lost value. So if the clan hasn't received support yet in the new version, then they're just not seeing any monetary value in their cards. But of course, I don't play for the money
No.
value.
Yeah. I think people just want to justify that if they bought something for X amount of money, that it would still hold some of
Their
that.
trading cards would retain value
Yeah.
over time.
My shiny cardboard should be worth what I bought it, right?
No, that's not how it works, friend. So premium is also limited to what has been released in the V-Era format, and there's a persistent rumor that the premium format will not see real consistent support. So there's a lot of folks who believe that because like in 6 months or 8 months, Bushiroad's not going to support premium anymore, and that then all of their investment is really going to be gone.
Yeah. Even though Bushiroad has officially said multiple times they're going to keep.
They literally had like a 6-foot-tall trophy and said, "This is the premium format trophy
Yeah.
that we're doing for our
Yeah.
championships." I'm like, they're at least going to continue through to the end of the 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year at least. But I think it would be silly of them not to have like a fighters collection where one set out of the year they support all of the clans, but they
Yeah.
give like legacy support, I guess, or just like going back and hey, Night Rose used to be good. Maybe we give her a new stride or something.
Yeah,
or,
so they could have a set that's strides only or something
yeah,
like that. And
or
then
G guards and like just
support
G
premium.
units.
Or, well, no, not triggers, because then people would play those
Ugh.
as standard.
Ugh.
All right. Predictions for next year, Cole.
All clans will have received one support.
Well, that's not a prediction.
Oh.
We know. That's what they've told us. That's the truth. Yeah,
I
so,
guess the fighters collection.
so
thing
what,
was-
yeah, what will we say next year? Well, all the clans should have come out at that point in time, all 23.
All 24.
We'll have a full year of tournament play. G era will truly be over.
Yep.
What else are we going to see, Cole? Because these were all mine.
I thought that was collective.
That's true.
I think the beginning, by the end, like this is the tail end of like August of next year. I think either because right now only certain clans can have certain imaginary gifts. Like only certain can have 1, some can have 4, some can have.
So
10.
what are the imaginary gifts?
Oh, there's Excel, which creates another rearguard circle and gives power to it. And there's Force, which gives power just to that rearguard circle. There's Protect, which is like a perfect guard, or a guard that nullifies any attack coming at you. So I think either they will introduce clans that have that mix those. So you'll have one that could be Force and Excel maybe, or Force and Protect or whatnot. Or they'll create another imaginary gift, and then maybe they'll sprinkle that into all of the clans or all of the nations at least. Sprinkle a little bit of that
So you
in.
think they're going to let you mix?
I think so.
Even though they've officially said that once you play one imaginary gift, you can only play that kind for the rest.
They said that in Clan Fight.
No, extreme fight.
Extreme Fight, that's
Yeah,
what I
that's
meant.
the word.
I think Clan Fight means all of the clans put together, but no, it doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
So I think my prediction for next year, I'm going to keep it easy, and I'll say that they will come out with a fighters collection that supports G era.
Or just boost premium.
Boost. Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
that's
G era
right,
will be
G era
gone,
will be
yeah.
over. So boost premium.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's really all we had for you guys. But if anybody has any questions, Logan, you can start.
So like, it sounds like the original game had a lot of problems, specifically with like secondary market, making it kind of
The secondary market is
Yeah.
the real problem, yes.
But do you think the new edition like fix the problems?
So Logan's question is, do we feel that the V era cards have fixed the problems of the secondary market?
I think it has helped. I don't know about
I mean, I
fixed.
think the TCG player still exists.
Yeah.
So the secondary market's still a problem.
It's still a problem, but it's not nearly as bad because now because they restructured their rarities as well. So the main cards of those decks are really the only expensive cards for the most part. Depending on where you get them and how good they are, they're about 15 to 25, and you really only need 4 per deck. So it's not that bad, whereas it used to be 25 for 4 copies of multiple cards. But yeah.
And there was another issue in the secondary market where, because there was such a long tail of cards and clans and history in them, where if there was even a hint of a rumor that a clan was going to get support, there were particular stores like that would go sell through TCG Player and buy up every valuable card from that clan
And then mark them up.
mark the price up.
It's great.
So they can't really do that anymore because there's just not, those cards aren't out there so much.
Yep.
All right, you had a question?
So, I don't know a whole ton about cards, but my brother's more into it than I am. But, so, the way it sounds is like, so every clan or whatever gets support like maybe once a year.
At this point, yeah.
At this point. So, what about the other, 11 months of the year where I'm waiting around for new... This is just me asking how that works.
So
Yes.
it wasn't like that in the past, where clans would receive support, like the popular clans, the popular kids would get support multiple times a year, and then like Grand Blue would get support once a year,
Once or twice, yeah.
once or
Isn't
twice,
it?
yeah.
So that's my biggest problem right now. I have zero interest in all of the clans up until Grand Blue, which comes out later
At the end of this month,
At
yeah.
the end of this month. And so I have had to pick a clan and kind of use it to learn the mechanics and the feel of the new game, and just kind of bide my time until I can actually get my Grand Blue stuff.
But I also feel that with the V era stuff, the game is much better balanced than it was in the past.
Yep, at least right now it is.
All the clans do kind of match up. And actually, one of the things about the imaginary gifts, which people have talked about a little bit but not too much, is that if they really function well where Excel clans will have an edge over Protect clans, and Protect clans will have an edge over Force clans, and Force clans will have an edge over Excel clans. So it really helps to keep the balance, and they're pretty much evenly distributed throughout all the different nations at this
Yep.
point.
Well, for right now, yeah, but not all the nations don't have the same amount of clans in them, so it's gonna be difficult when we have. Well, I guess most of them are gonna be Force, aren't they? Most of the clans are gonna be Force, so you'll have Force is like your generic kind of defensive but kind of offensive at the same time, and Excel is like super rushy, aggressive, whatever you want to call it, and Protect is more defensive. So.
Yep.
They're not necessarily distributed evenly, but for the most part, they're spaced out pretty well. Yeah. So yeah, you have to bide your time until a clan that you like comes out, basically. Another one. Yeah.
Actually, is Royal Paladin one of the popular clans? Because they're the
Royal Paladin is the popular clan. It's the
It's-
main character.
It's the Pikachu of Vanguard,
My
basically.
mom plays Royal Paladin. I play Royal Paladin. My niece plays Royal Paladin. It's my family clan.
Yeah. I don't.
But yes, yeah, Royal Paladin is the Pikachu of Vanguard. It
Poster
is
boy,
the
yep.
poster child.
Blaster
Blaster Blade.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Actually, you had a question.
I was also wanting to know, do you know like any of the upcoming stuff being released besides?
So the only things that have been announced so far are, so the end of this month we're getting the Leon trial deck.
Yep.
It's Champions of the Asia Circuit.
Which has Aquaforce, Grand Blue, and Dimension Police. So there goes my wallet. And then after that, it's Team
Team
AL4.
AL4, which is going to be Shadow Paladin,
Pale Moon.
Dark Irregulars,
Yeah,
and
Dark-
Pale Moon.
And
So wait,
Murakumo.
we got to do this for the people who don't play Vanguard. Let's go back. Aquaforce is the
Marines.
Weird Navy. Weird Navy. They've got dolphins and
Penguins.
Grand
and
Blue is
dragons.
the
Yeah, the undead pirates and vampires and zombies and stuff like that.
Dimension Police.
Are giant robots of justice and superheroes, basically.
Ultron.
Is there no? Wait, which one is Gurren Lagann in? Gurren Lagann, worst anime ever.
Oh,
That's Nova Grapplers, isn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
Extreme Battlers. Yeah, Victor. Yeah.
All right, so then we've got Shadow Paladin, which are like the Knights of the Round Table if they were evil. That's a big favorite of mine.
And then Pale Moon is like the demonic circus.
A demon circus.
Demon circus. Dark Irregulars are
Literal.
Dark.
Vampire. They're like vampires, werewolves.
witches, like
Shadow
like
Paladins have witches.
a lot of clans have witches.
That's
Will.
actually true.
Yeah, that's a common theme. I don't know if you know that, but yeah, it's like the dark kind of gothic horror sort of stuff like that. And Murakumo, what is Murakumo?
Murakumo are ninjas.
What kind of ninjas? Because there are two ninja clans.
Stealthy ninjas that do shadow clone. Yes.
Yeah.
They shadow clone.
Yeah, but like, aren't they? They're the ones that are. Oh no, actually, never
Being
mind.
attacked from the back row. 'Cause
Murakumo is. I can never pronounce that.
Murakumo?
Murakumos do all kinds of things
Yeah,
nowadays.
yep.
They've certainly given that clan a lot of support.
The theme is like kind of they're like demon beasts, like
Stealth beasts. They're all stealth beasts.
I think Nubatama is also beast as well.
We spend far more time on Murakumo than anyone would need to.
They're cool. They do cool stuff.
Jeff, did you have a question? Wait, there's another set coming out. It's
Oh.
more support for Royal Paladins and Kagero.
No. Oh yeah, there's that, and then there's also ultra rare. We
The
totally
Ultra
forgot about
Rare,
ultra rare.
which is coming out. That's right. Gold Paladins are
The Knights of the Sun,
sure. Neo Nectar are
Flower Maidens. Oh, Flower
fighting-
People.
fighting flower people.
Fighting Flower People. Yes.
And what is the third clan?
Angel Feather.
Angel Feather.
Feather,
Yeah,
which
Suicune.
are the Suicunes
Suicune.
playing Angel Feather, which are the
Doctors and
angels?
Yeah,
And the robot doctors?
they're helpers.
The entire hospital.
Yeah, the whole hospital.
The hospital
With
is a card.
wings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff, did you have a question?
It seems like 23 clans is a lot, and it doesn't seem weird talking. It also doesn't seem to make sense economic-wise. Are you actually getting all 23 clans again in this new era?
And so Jeff's question is, it seems like 23 clans are a lot, and are we going to have all 23 again? I think there would be a mass riot if they did not produce all 23 clans.
Yeah.
So follow-up, as someone new, how do I decide which one I want to play? Because it seems
So the main thing that I think people do when they choose what clan they want to play, right now you'd be choosing out of the 7 that exist, but when all 23 are out there, I think people look at theme and play style together. So for me, Link Joker has a huge appeal just because it's outer space dragon things that do heavy control mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy both of those things. I want to be an outer space dragon. I want to disallow my opponent from playing at all.
Yeah.
And I like Shadow Paladins because I like evil Knights of the Round Table, and I like Grand Blue because I like undead pirates, and I like the Grand Blue mechanic a lot, which is taking things out of your drop zone and bringing them back to your field. But see, right, so you pick a theme and a mechanic that works for you.
as someone who is into the game, how do you find, how do you get to experience all the mechanics?
You listen to Drive Check, a Card Fight Vanguard podcast, where we talk about these things every week
Yeah.
and
Well,
learn.
as you play against all of them eventually and think like, oh,
Yeah.
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 It just seems like
I guess
It's
this must be like the big draw of the game, right? That
Yeah.
The big draw of the game is you can get decks that are cards that you identify with,
Yeah.
and then you can just sort of build on that.
Mhm.
Or you get 4 or 5. All right, we do have to watch time, but Robert, you can be our
I'm
last
gonna ask a
question.
real super basic question because I don't know the game. In Magic or other card games, like say you really enjoy the color black, you in composing a deck could splash another color. It sounds like that is not a thing here. Like
So yeah,
factions are
Robert's
totally-
question is, can you mix clans? The answer is no. That is actually, it used to, at the start of the game, it used to be allowed, but it is now prohibited. They did come out with some cards called Cray Elementals that could be used in any deck, but they haven't done that in the V era yet.
Yeah, thankfully. Yep. I think we got time for one more.
One more question?
Yeah.
You
Alright, so would you think that they would bring back Token Ramu and Cray Elemental at some point?
So, I'm bringing this up, Will. 'Cause you keep skating over it.
What?
So when we stayed up all night for that the reboot announcement, basically, they came out and said all 24 clans. They said it in Japanese. They said it in English. They put it in their translated cliff notes, basically. Right now, they're technically 23. They didn't really consider Token Rambu to be a clan. Yeah, kind
So,
of.
so for those who don't understand, Token Rambu is a game?
Yeah, it's an online browser
A
game.
browser game
That's about to become mobile.
where there's swords that are actually people.
Cute
and
boys.
They are real cute. and so there is a Vanguard's clan set that is based on those pretty sword boys.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not a Cray. They're not from Cray, so it's controversial about whether
Yeah.
they're a real clan or not.
Yeah, and then Cray Elementals, maybe if they need to fix something, because that's why they were originally
Yeah.
brought in.
Cray Elementals were that, like, oh, we've noticed something that needs correction across the board, so we're just going to make this so that it can be splashed into any deck.
Oh, you don't have a way to play against Link Joker? Let me give you this crappy grade 2.
Yeah.
That
It was more
requires-
Sabriz. So there was one of the rules in the G era was both players had to be on grade 3. Someday you'll learn what that actually means. And there were decks that could play where one of the players would stay on grade 2. So their opponent could never get to the point where their deck was actually functional. So that's when they came out with Sabriz, which could be played in any deck, which forced your ability to become functional.
Which could also be played around 2. So you could still rush as long as you stayed at grade 2 and just kept rewriting. Your opponent couldn't use Sabriz and play the game still.
There were ways around that too.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
All right, so we are out of time. Thank you guys for coming. We have some things up at the front. We have imaginary gifts for Vanguard players, or if you just want to have our contact information. Bushiroad gave us some nice pins with Aichi Sendo's face on them, and we have stickers.
Yes.
And if you have tickets that you haven't turned in, please turn them in. We have to turn them in to the GenCon folks. Thanks for coming.